multiplying whole numbers using expanded form. So in number 1 I see 58 times 76. So the first thing I do is I say, well, 58 is really 50 plus 8 times 76 is really 70 plus 6. So these are the expanded forms of 58 and 76. So now I know that I'm going to need two numbers, or two columns, to represent my 50 and my 8, and two rows to represent my 70 and my 6. So I make a box, and I need two columns. That's going to be my 50 and my 8, and I need two rows, and that's going to be my 70 and my 6. Then the first thing I do is I say, okay, well, I need to do 70 times 50. Well, 7 times 5 is 35. And then I have two zeros. So I put my two zeros on. Next one I do is 70 times 8. Well, 7 times 8 is 56. And I have just one 0. Then I do 6 times 50. So 6 times 5 is 30. And then once again I just have 1 0. And then 6 times 8 is 48. Now I need to add up all four numbers that are in my boxes. So I have 3, 5, 0, 0. And then 5, 6, 0. And then 3, 0, 0. And then 4, 8. I need to add all those together. Once again, it may be easier if I put my columns in, keep everything straight. So in my first column when I add, I just get 8. In my second column, 6 plus 4 is 10, so I keep my 0, and I carry my 1. Then I would do 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, plus 3 is 14. So I write down my 4 and carry my 1, and then 1 plus 3 is 4. So my answer is 4,408. Now, if I wanted to get an idea of whether or not my answer was in the ballpark, what I would do is I would estimate. I do that by rounding each of these numbers, 58 and 76, to its largest place value. So 58 rounded to the nearest 10 is going to be 60, and then 76 rounded to the nearest 10 would be 80. 6 times 8 is 48, and then I have two zeros. So my answer should be close to 4,800. It is. 4,400 is pretty close, so I can be fairly confident in my answer. The next one is a 3-digit number times a 2-digit number. So 769 is really 700 plus 60 plus 9. 83 is really 80 plus 3. So I'm going to need 3 columns and 2 rows. So on the top I write 700, and then 60, and then 9, and on the side I write 80 and 3. So the first thing I have to do is 80 times 700. So 8 times 7 is 56, and then I have 1, 2, 3 total zeros. So 1, 2, 3 zeros. And then 80 times 60, 8 times 6 is 48. And then 1, 2 zeros. 80 times 90. 8 times 9 is 72. And 1 0. Now I move on to the second row. So 3 times 700. 3 times 7 is 21. And then I have 2 zeros. 3 times 60. So 3 times 6 is 18. And I have 1 0. And then 3 times 9 is 27. And I need to add up all 6 of these numbers. So I have 5,600, and then, no, sorry, that's 56,000, so 3 zeros, 4,800, 720, and then 2,100, 180, and 27. I'm going to add these all up. So in my first column, I just have a 7. In my second column, 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Carry my 1. And then I have here, I'm going to go 8, and then 9, 10. So I've done all those, 10, and then 17, 18. So write down my 8, carry my 1. Then I have 6 and 4 is 10, 11, 13. Write down my 3, carry my 1, and 1 plus 5 is 6. So I have 63,827. Once again, if I wanted to make sure, I'd estimate. So we're going to round each of these numbers to its largest place value. So 769 rounded to the nearest hundred is 800, times, here we've got 83 rounded to the nearest 10 is 80. 8 times 8 is 64, and then I have 3 zeros. So it should be close to 64,000, and it is. So my answer should be correct. Finally, we want to do a 3-digit by a 3-digit. So 497 is really 400, plus 90, plus 7. 286 is really 200, plus 80, plus 6. So I'm going to need 3 rows and 3 columns. So I have 400, 90, and 7, and 200, 80, and a 6. So 200 times 400. 2 times 8, or sorry, 2 times 4 is 8. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'd be 80,000. 200 times 90, well, 2 times 9 is 18, and then I have 3 zeros. 200 times 7, so 2 times 7 is 14, and I have 2 zeros. Next I move on to the 80. 80 times 400, so 8 times 4 is 32, and then I have 3 zeros. 80 times 90. 8 times 9 is 72, and I have 2 zeros. 80 times 7. So 8 times 7 is 56, and I have 1 zero. Move on to the third row with the 6. 6 times 400. So 6 times 4 is 24, and I have 2 zeros. Then I have 6 times 90. So 6 times 9 is 54, and I have 1 zero. And then finally 6 times 7 is 42. Now we have 9 numbers to add up. So what I would suggest doing is either adding the rows or the columns. It really doesn't matter which way we do it. So let me just add up the columns. So my first column is 80,000, and then 32,000, and then 2,400, or 2,400. So when I add these together, I'm going to get 0, 0, 4, 4, and then 8 plus 3 is 11. So 114,400. Now I add the second column. 18,000, 7,200, and 540. I'd get 0, 4, 7, 8 plus 7 is 15, carry the 1, that's a 2. So 25,740. And now we add the third column, so that's 1,400, 560, and 42. The first column is going to be a 2. 6 plus 4 is 10, so write down your 0, carry your 1. And then we've got 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Write down your 0, carry your 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So now we have to add these three sums that we just did. So off to the side I'll do 114,400, and then 25,740, and 2,002. Add them up. So we've got, in the first column we've got a 2, then we've got a 4. 4 plus 7 is 11, so I write my 1, carry my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. Write down my 2, carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then we just bring our 1 down. So it looks like our answer is 142,142. Which is kind of an interesting number. Now we should probably get our estimate. So rounding each number to the nearest place value, 497 rounded to the nearest hundred is 500. 286 rounded to the nearest hundred is 300. So then we would say 5 times 3 is 15, and then we have 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's pretty close to 150,000. We're only about 8,000 off. So it looks like our answer is correct.